Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Heroes World Quarantine Podcast. I'm your host, Dupe. With me, as always, are the owners and proprietors of Heroes World. That's Andre and John. Please say hello.
Hello.
Howdy, folks.
And of course, with our resident Prince of Mischief variant XXX, Mr. Rob Gadet.
Oh, I love being triple X. I'm not quite Vin Diesel. I'm not quite Ice Cube, but
You
You're something.
just sound like
I'm
Stallone
something.
when you talk about it. Isn't that just
Something else.
I got something going on. I don't know.
Camellia. Can you say Camellia?
Yeah, Camellia.
Pass me a Corona.
Yeah, yeah.
Thank you for joining us as we do
Pass me a
episode
Corona.
5 of What If. The title is something to do with what's the title of this thing?
What
Something-
if
Just zombies.
zombies?
I just want someone else to say it out loud. I'm like, really, you guys really tried
Is
hard.
that
with
is that
title.
it?
Yep.
Yeah.
That's it. They
Yeah,
didn't call
yeah,
it like
yeah.
what if
Zombies.
blah 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 blah. Yeah.
What
So this
if-
doesn't have a single
What
turning
if
point.
zombies?
Yeah.
So here we go. We're gonna go full spoilers. We're not even gonna. We're just gonna zip through this. But if you're wondering, yeah, what if zombies happen? So yeah. So essentially, the plot line is, if those of you who've already seen it, but we're gonna just dive into it quickly. Hank Pym goes into, similar to Ant-Man 2 and the Wasp. Ant-Man and the Wasp. They go into the quantum
Quantum
realm. They find Janet, and she's infected with a virus. They bring it back with them, and it slowly infects this Marvel universe. And
Mhm.
now you're left with the same scenes as pretty much Marvel's Infinity War, where Bruce Banner lands up in the Sanctorum, and he's like, "Where's going on?" And it's very eerily like 28 days later. It's like he just ends up in an empty New York, and thus action ensues, runs into various heroes, and then voila, zombies. So, John,
Yeah.
give us your thoughts on Marvel Zombies, because we know how much you love zombies.
Yeah. So horror not one of my genres, but I'm slowly growing accustomed to it because a lot of the new movies and things coming out are seemingly horror themed. So I remember the Marvel original Marvel series for this. And it was pretty fun at its time. It might have overstayed its welcome and kind of like went away
Surprise,
for a bit,
surprise.
and
Was
now
written
it's
by
back.
who, John? Who was it written
Yeah,
by?
Robert Kirkman, so
Yes,
same fame as
the zombie
Walking
guy.
Dead.
Yep.
And I understood its appeal, so it kind of hit everything. It started bleeding into like hero clicks and all this kind of stuff, and just really took off. People liked seeing these mangled versions of the usual or other people. I don't know if regular people like I don't know if I like seeing that what happened to Spider-Man in the original comic happened to Spider-Man, but this is something new. This is something different for I guess the general audiences. So it's pretty cool to see them actually twist. So this one really felt to me like they were throwing the what if into the MC universe, because we saw all like it's something shot for shot the same as like the movies, right? So and then they get all zombified. So if you wanted to see zombified versions of your movie versions of these heroes, this is for you. So I thought it was okay. Things I liked for it. I did like seeing obviously the voice cast is really really talented, or they're using them very very well for some reason. Sometimes you get celebrities to do voices and it doesn't work, but for some reason they're really working for this show. I think Tom Holland was the only one that didn't reprise his role. So we did get to see Chadwick Boseman again as Black Panther, so that's always fun to see. I did like. I'm trying to think of like moments that I liked from it. I liked. I don't know. I think Ant-Man was a little over the top. The Ant-Man head. I think he was a bit much. They needed
Yep.
to chill that back for a
Jar.
second.
Futurama
Yeah.
style. Yep.
Mars attacks.
Yep.
Yeah. That was like I don't know. He was talking too much. But I did like seeing Bucky grab the shield and fight a zombie version of his Cap. I liked the part where they're getting away from Hope, and she randomly throws a zombie at the plane in frustration. I thought that was like a funny little touch. I don't know who thought of that. And I do like, at the end now, I actually really appreciate all the concept art they kind of throw you at the end. So that looks really cool. So that's helping add this kind of comic booky feel to what looks like
I think
an
they
animated
borrowed
version of
that
the
from the
MCU.
Mandalorian, because the
Yeah,
Mandalorian,
yeah.
and now they're like,
So
we'll just do it for all the shows.
yeah, when you're watching it, you feel very MCU, and then they start throwing these drawings at you at the end, and you're like, okay, this is kind of like a comic idea. I like that they can use the MCU musical cues.
Mhm.
So like I think when Bucky cuts Cap in half, they play a little bit of the Captain America theme, which is it's kind of neat to see that. But the thing I like most is and again I'm going to the toys. So there's toys based off this. So the zombie Captain America is really dope. So if you're into collecting action figures and stuff like that, the design is really cool. The articulation, the paint applications and things like that. So I'm very much looking forward to having that particular figure. I don't know if they're going to do the whole universe and you can have a fun zombie version of your Avengers or whatever. But I think that was what I'm most looking forward to in this episode. But are we going to rank these episodes again, or
Go after? But what's the worst
Okay.
thing? You've talked a lot about things you liked. You did not dislike anything. You were like, it's all good.
There's a lot of like when you start doing this to your characters and turning them into zombies, there's a lot of questions that come up. So if unanswered questions is something that's coming up, there's a lot of questions. Like
We'll
how
go
are they
unanswered,
able to
but
use
after it? But what
Yeah,
things?
a
what did you
little
not-
touch is like how are they able to use their powers? How come some characters are able to use their powers only to a certain capacity? Like Scarlet Witch is going full tilt using everything, whereas Captain America gets a shield thrown at him, and for some reason he forgot how to catch the shield, and it would have been a nice back and forth if he was actually at his full cap abilities versus Bucky, but all of a sudden he's dumb and just takes the shield and then he's dead, or zombie dead, whatever. So
I don't think he's dead. I think he just halved in the subway by himself.
yeah, who knows, yeah, and then there's stuff like Wasp can conjure up wasps to eat away the zombies. Why didn't she do that like every time? Like where these bugs all the time, unless they're zombified bugs? And where'd the ants go later? Like all these characters die later on, and no one does anything. Like Okoye gets punked, and then all of a sudden the very next thing that a character does, Vision like takes out the gem and blows everything up. Like you couldn't have done that like 5 seconds earlier and saved the character. And then the end, it doesn't really end. So I think a lot of people will feel robbed that robbed. I don't know where he is on this grid.
So funny.
But that it doesn't end. So you're kind of like, okay, these what ifs are supposed to be single serving, but this one is not. Like, is it going to continue? No, I think it would be cool if it does. If they got a couple episodes, then people could get satisfied. But you get to see them. Are you to assume that Thanos has taken Wakanda and they're going to go to Wakanda and lose, and then he gets the gems, and then is he going to snap away half the zombie? I don't understand. You know what I mean? So I do knock on them for not giving us closure in an ending. It's kind of weird.
The what if? They don't have to give closure. So it's
those are the worst what ifs. So like Andre can probably attest to, like, if you make a comic and it's a what if and it doesn't end, then you're like, what the F? It's not going to continue because this is the nature of what if.
but you
It's
can
this
fill
one
it with
issue.
your imagination, John.
But all the other episodes,
no one
all
wants
the
to
other
do that.
episodes ended.
Nobody wants to do that. Yeah, they did like a little. They would do like little cliffhanger endings, and maybe things are going to stitch together at the end. So maybe it's going to pay off in the end. You're going to see the ship of Black Panther, Spider-Man, and Ant-Man's head in a cape come back. But I think overall, if we never see that again, then that kind of sucks. Or
I think we talked about that before, the four of us, the narrative of maybe this story arc will be the zombies show up in another universe and then the leftover guys have to fight them, because if Thanos has all the rings, maybe instead of wiping out the universe, it's like, I just got to go to universe, and enables him to like move around. But we'll see. I get what you're saying. It's open, but at the same time, I'm kind of also, we'll get to Rob and Andre in a second, kind of also cool without any more zombies. Like, I'm good. I don't need any more. But
I can see, like,
that.
especially like some people say this show is for kids. It's 100% not for kids. Like, I would not want the younger viewers to get attached to these heroes watching this, because it's ridiculous. It's kind of crazy.
Yeah, it fit every trope of a zombie / horror movie. Rob, give us your thoughts.
Oh, I was really in need of a TV show where a mysterious virus spreads across the globe, taking people down, because, that's a unique property that we're not currently dealing with.
We don't have any of those now.
Nobody was wearing PPE except for potentially Spider-Man. Listen, George Romero is probably zombified himself in his grave, going, "Guys, come on! I set all this stuff up. I get nothing for this." You know, it was an interesting episode. It was a one-off. Hopefully, I don't care if we see Marvel zombies again. I thought it was neat to see that, you know, come to, you know, quote unquote life, to see the, you know, the movement of them and to see it. I was like, neat. But I didn't get any fulfillment in this episode as we have in past episodes. And now this is episode 5, so not the previous 4 have been kind of all over the place a little bit, and like, oh, you know, this is really good or this is not bad, but at least you got some enjoyment out of it that you could potentially watch one of those episodes again. Like, you know, what if T'Challa became Star-Lord or whatever, right? I would have no interest in seeing this episode again. There was nothing to it. It was just like, okay, whatever. I thought, you know, I thought the Paul Rudd thing was kind of funny with him being in the head, his head in the glass jar. He said a couple of lines when when the cape went around the jar, and it was kind of like a Harry Potter type lines, I think he had said. Yes. So there are some little
in the Harry Potter world or whatever.
Yeah, so there are some little, like, I guess you could say Easter eggs or fun little shutouts that you know, you can kind of chuckle to and stuff. I thought that the whole Hope Van Dyne, you know, growing into giant woman, like, talk about foreshadowing. Like, you know, you're going to become a zombie. Why wouldn't you shrink yourself down? Like, now you're just a 80-foot tall giant zombie. Like, what are you doing? Like, you knew that was going to happen. You couldn't have pressed your belt and shrunk back down. Like, it just seems silly to me.
But then you missed the part where she throws the person at the ship. That's where John got the chuckle.
Yeah, I'm glad that he got the chuckle. I was just like, who cares? I honestly think that the Doctor Strange's cape was probably the most interesting character in the entire episode. They made me laugh the most. It's got the most personality. I thought it was quite funny. I did like seeing this stuff come to life. I thought the guy who did the voice for Spider-Man, he did great. He wasn't trying to do Tom Holland. I think he was just trying to do a Brooklyn accent. And I thought it was
you played Spider-Man the video game, right?
Yes. Yeah.
That's the same guy, right? So
yeah,
that's the same voice actor. The costume is essentially the same because Sony wouldn't allow Marvel to use their costume. So basically the what if the video game Spider-Man was in this universe, and then they're like, we're gonna go with it.
Yeah, so I thought it was like, I think it's okay. All joking aside, I rewatched the ending again this morning. So I was like, what the hell happened? I got to say, like, there's a line that T'Challa speaks, and I was kind of caught off guard that he appears, because we all talked about Chadwick Boseman's last episode, but I guess in theory, or technically, this might be his last episode. I don't know. But he was talking about when they're on the Quinjet and they're flying to Wakanda, and he's like, Peter's talking about all the death, and T'Challa's like, death in my culture is just another step, right? Like you continue to live on people's hearts. I thought that was a kind of a, I'm sure that the line was written that way, but you can't help but look at the allegory, like, oh man, I did think that
line was also used in
it was in Black Panther when he talked
about not only that, but also Civil War, because on the bench when he's talking about his father passing away, like it's been used several times.
Just hearing it again, it has a different connotation or different meaning. Admittedly though, like the Thanos at the very end, the zombified Thanos where he's outside of the walls of Wakanda, he looked way more imposing than the Thanos that we got in episode 2. When it was T'Challa. I was like, that was like in comparison, I was like, that guy looked like the McDonald's Grimace version of Thanos compared to this one. Like, how come the art, aside from like the face obviously being all ripped up because of being a zombie, why do they have to look so different? Like, I was like, that was kind of weird to me.
But also I want to ask, why the hell is not Thanos? Like, Thanos is supposed to be a badass. I would expect he would be the person to not be a zombie. Like, if he has the Infinity Rings and all these things, and he has an army, I'm like, I figure he'd be smart enough not to be a zombie. So I just sat there going, interesting. Like, out of anyone, I'm like, Thanos is supposed to be a badass, but also smart enough to recognize these are zombies. Well, I don't know how he got bit, but
because he also has pretty thick skin.
Yeah.
Like, obviously we saw what happened with the Hulk. They tried to bite him, it didn't work out, and this and that, and like we know that Thanos did get that small little cut in Infinity War.
It took a lot of
that
work from Tony Stark to do it.
Right. And so to me, I'm like, how the hell did Thanos become I don't get it. And lastly, we're at another week where it's Hank Pym has kind of been the one that's brought down another universe. Like, this is right.
What an awful man.
Yeah. So, he's the Tony Stark of the what if universe where all problems seem to be resolving around Hank Pym. So that's kind of my thoughts about it. I mean, it's what if Marvel made an okay show? Okay. That's it.
What if Marvel? Andre, carry us home. What are your thoughts?
So as John mentioned, I think this Marvel Zombies period, it not only overstayed its course, it literally it's like the relative that won't leave, and the first
or the
time
guest
you saw
host.
it was cool, and stuff, but they just beat it to death. As you guys know, I've really enjoyed all the episodes of What If, but up to this point here, this is the halfway point, and now it can go either way. This episode, you guys are, I think, being overly nice. This episode was a piece of trash, right? There's zero good about it, except if you want to hear the voice actors who play the parts. There's no imagination. There's no semblance of logic. There's no continuity. There's no justification for anything. As John said, is this for kids? Because it's super humorous, but it's also super dark, so you can't watch it.
It almost should have chose like go full out horror,
go full out funny,
really scary, or go super funny.
Yeah, it's just the tone is all wrong. Like it's I'm obviously not a fan of the original Marvel Zombies. I did like it when it appeared in Ultimate Fantastic Four. I'm like, oh, okay, that's a cool little thing.
Yeah, that
but
origin is way cooler.
But then it bled out and kept going. So I don't understand why they wanted to do that here. I know people like zombies and it's popular, but at least think of something different. This was, again, it made, from their standpoint of the What If, when Hulk came back, at that point, Thanos already has the five of the 6 stones, right? Mm-hmm. So like Rob just mentioned, how the hell would he get turned into a zombie? Right? And if he came to Earth, he'd be like, well, I obviously don't have to land here to do this. Like I'll just go find this stone and whatever. He wouldn't be a zombie. If Wakanda is safe and they're gonna just stay there, you're telling me the Wakanda scientists couldn't figure out something like beforehand? Like the Avengers just dropped in. Like, first of all, how does Tony Stark get infected? Right? They do that cute little Spider-Man thing.
Well, remember,
that cute little Spider-Man thing where he says, wear long sleeves, dude's in armor.
But isn't Ant-Man small enough that he could sneak into the armor? Because that's the reason why Captain America got bit, right? Because it's just like on his neck. So theoretically, if Ant-Man was so small,
theoretically, if that's the thing, then obviously nobody's safe, so all of them should have been zombies at that point.
Pretty much everyone.
You're telling me Stark couldn't have a electrified part. He's like, oh, I better put shields up.
But to be fair, I thought you'd be happy, Andre. This Robert Downey, you don't like this Robert Downey, so he killed him and he didn't say a thing.
Yeah,
so
but I'm just saying it's stupid. War Machine. My problem with zombie things in general is there are more bullets per capita in the world than anything else. So one army station would just wrap it up. We've blown the shit out of everything. They don't follow their rules. Peter Parker does that cute little thing, wear long sleeves, wear Axe body spray. They're attracted to the smell of humans. Then why the shit were they hanging out in front of Vision's base? Right? It's too, like, look, you can say you don't want to nitpick or watch these shows or whatever, but get me on board, make me believe it. The whole point of Vision, okay, yes, we're showing that Vision loves Scarlet Witch so much. Okay, she's too powerful to turn, yet he could trap her inside a glass something. Get the out of here, man. Stupid. Happy has Iron Man's one thing. What, they didn't go to his armory? They legit couldn't have all found Hulkbuster armors? Like
They did only for the hand to
That's what-
look at it on the
that's
base.
what I'm saying.
Yeah.
It's just insulting. You want to make it actually horrible? Show the heroes doing everything possible, like in the Aliens movie. Aliens, they fortified the whole
Yep.
thing. They zipped up the wall, the doors. They put gun turrets, but they just forgot that, oh my God, the ceiling's a drop ceiling or whatever. Show the heroes doing everything. You Black Panther's still alive. Wakanda would have been able to detect that. Show 5 Wakanda dropships coming to that spot to rescue him, and then all of a sudden they can't do it. And then, like John says, there's no ending. What the shit? What was the point of that? There's again 0 point to this episode. And again, how are these zombies doing anything to their powers? Doctor Strange could remember his spells. Well, then they're just not zombies. Oh, they're hungry. They haven't eaten anything. I don't see them eating people because everybody turned 2 seconds later. No point. Zombies have to be one of like the literally like just stupidest plot devices. And I was hoping with this episode, I didn't go in with any preconceived. I was just hoping they'd be like, oh, maybe they'll make it kind of make sense, But that's my problem with all zombie things. They have never explained how they work, how they function. Anything. You're just supposed to say, oh, they're zombies. At a certain point, if they haven't eaten, they have no energy, they should just fall over and die. If they're magical, fine, you're never going to stop them. Leave.
Well,
Wakanda's got a spaceship, get in the spaceship and leave. Because after months of doing whatever, there's going to be less resources for people. There's going to be more food for the zombies. And if the zombies aren't eating new people, then what are they doing?
I think,
Right?
Andre.
So anyways, it's just, I just thought.
Also, let me kick off for a second. So
Yeah.
I totally agree with you on a lot of your stance. I think you hit the nail on the head with Thanos, because Thanos's initiative was to get rid of half a human life in the universe. But zombies don't count as life. So, and they don't eat resources. They don't do anything. So why would he come down, period? That's the thing where I was like, oh yeah, you're right. Like, it makes no sense. Why would Thanos need to step out of it? He looks at Earth. He's like, oh, this is weird. I'm out. Like, there's
Especially
like,
if he's already in
All
space.
he'd have to do was
his
go
whole
down and get the
purpose
gem.
was to cut out. It's like, oh, like just humanoid species are cut using so many resources. It's like, well, zombies just kind of wander around. They don't really use cars. Theoretically, the Earth should heal itself, because if people aren't flying and stuff, the ozone will be fine. People aren't eating, wasting Earth's resources. Zombies would just basically kill themselves off anyways based on a time period, and then boom, Earth is good to go. So he would just go somewhere else. Theoretically, the Guardians are still out there, Thor is still out there, so they're just washed. They're like, okay, right off this planet, can you do something else? So that is a weird thing. So let's jump over, John.
I just want to say quickly though that the idea though of zombies as I mean, Andre says he doesn't like the plot of it, but the original intent of a zombie was that it came back from the dead. It was scary. It was this whole thing, and it wanted to eat your brains. Like, that's, the whole idea that the people that you love are now coming back to kill you, and they're a shell of their former self. Like, the idea of that. And I think when you do zombies really well, you still maintain that level of fear of what it means.
What was the last zombie movie that did it really well?
Well, I actually really enjoyed Zack Snyder's Dawn of the Dead. His remake of that was really well. I did actually think in Canada we'd say Z, but World War Z actually did a fantastic job.
The book is tremendous. If you haven't listened to the audiobook, it is. That's my go-to every few years. I'll go back to the audiobook. The audiobook won a bunch of awards. It has Alan Alda. It has Mark Hamill. He does a voice in it. It is a very logical approach. And Andre, your point about weapons, the World War Z one, it's like all the American weapons, your point, they have weapons, guns, bombs, are meant for shock and awe, to scare your opponents, not precise to knock someone in the head to kill them. So when the military first shot it, they shot all these bombs. I get it. This is the way the book shapes the narrative, and people are not prepared. And then we already see with a certain situation right now, some people didn't believe it exists, so they went out there like, look, these things aren't real, let this thing bite me, or pretended to be zombies. So like, you could see, like, there's a logic behind an escalation of that nature, because there are people around the world who don't believe in a certain thing right now. That's a thing. So it would not be a surprise if a zombie virus happened and people didn't believe in it either. So it is a really interesting take. I enjoy that book, Rob. I enjoy the audiobook even more when every time when I'm on vacation, I'll listen to it when I go for a long drive because man, the voice acting, Alan Alda and Mark Hamill crush it. But
it's been watered down though. I mean, I don't. Do you want to blame Kirkman? Do you want to blame whatever? Doesn't make a difference. The idea of zombies has just been watered down.
It was just, I think at that time it was this Walking Dead so good, and Kirkman's like, I got this idea, and I was like, yeah, sure, let's just go out and do it. It's a cool thing, and Andre, like you said, it definitely wore out its welcome. I think it just lingers and lingers. It's the elephant in the room. It's like, worst case scenario, we'll just throw some zombies and the heroes will deal with it from a pocket universe or another universe that will carry on, which, anytime it's an apocalypse event, it's like, oh, the world's coming to an end. What can we do? Let's just throw in some zombies. And then that's why we have to leave this universe. So it is kind of a default answer. It's kind of the Pym particles of the apocalypse or the, Reed Richards, like unstable molecules. Like, what's the answer? Always unstable molecules.
Or like, what's that smell? Oh, it's John.
Hey now.
John Axe body spray. John, get what unanswered questions? What do you have for us?
So many. Mostly, I think it's mostly like Andre says. Once you start using zombies to the extent that they're starting to use now, right? Like if they're not hiding in the shadows, kind of like they're taking over heroes. They're using powers, but they're conveniently not using parts of powers. They're able to do things, but conveniently not able to do other things. Like if they can use their powers, then they can probably also drive a car. They can also fly a plane. They can also do like anything that they could have done when they were human, but it's conveniently forgotten. And things like what Andre said, like how come they all weren't wearing like crazy armored suits covering every part of their body, or like 8 sweaters. Like the Happy Hogan character was only wearing like a t-shirt and the Iron Man wrist thing, like it's
My
just
question is,
it opens the door to too many
wouldn't
questions.
Hawkeye run out of arrows already? Like if he's a zombie just shooting regular people, like
apparently he's a zombie and he knows to reload his quiver, I mean? It starts to raise too many questions when you have them on screen for that long and doing so many things, right?
I think it would have been funny if the zombies ignored Hawkeye. They're like, he's no. He couldn't get bit.
Like, we don't need that guy. What's he gonna do? Shoot us with arrows? Sure, go nuts. Doesn't kill us.
Rob?
Yeah.
Oh, unanswered questions. Well, I the whole thing. I guess I could piggyback off of what John and Andre were saying. I mean, listen, what is their purpose? What's their motivation? The zombies are in different states of decay.
Yeah.
Thanos, aside from his face, still is full of muscle. Captain America's one arm is bone. Now, I'm not a doctor. However, I'm fairly certain that
you play one on TV. Yes,
I do. As you expire from this world, your bones don't maintain their strength for a very long time. I would think if you're opening up even a door, that your arm bone would snap in half. Like, I don't. I know we could go way down, like be way too literal about a lot of this stuff and be like, guys, it's just a cartoon, it's just zombies. But it just this episode just seems so out of place from everything else that we've seen.
Yeah, there's
what if we didn't get this episode? We'd all be better. What's the point? So
yeah, it's weird. I did like
it visually. It's great. I will say.
I like the nuance when Captain America and Bucky were fighting, and Bucky punched Captain America's jaw, and the jaw fell down. I'm like, oh, that's kind of cool. But then in the same point, it's like, if he's a super soldier, wouldn't that not happen at the same time?
Yeah.
Why
are his muscles gone?
Yeah, I feel like the way that the logic of this universe, and maybe I'm wrong, and you guys can double check, is that if your power is based on strength, it decays. But if your powers are magic, apparently, like Wanda, it just continues. It's not affected. Because that's the only reason I can think about Captain America not having a super strength, or the fact that he has a super soldier serum that should help him heal. Doesn't he have light regeneration? Like, shouldn't this also be a thing where maybe he could have fought off the virus? Like, questions are all over the place because he can't get drunk because his metabolism. Like, there are things. So that was always the question when, for example, Wolverine got turned into a zombie. I'm like, wait a second.
Yeah.
He regenerates.
Well, and also I do want to say, like, the whole Vision, like, first of all, it's the fourth time that Vision's been killed. So I don't know what Paul Bettany
They love killing Vision.
But the problem I have it like he's perpetuating this entire thing by keeping Wanda alive, essentially, out of love.
Yeah.
And
he could have saved the universe, couldn't he have?
Yeah, like he could have resolved all of this. And I get, where they're trying to humanize the Vision, but he's also still a machine that all of his arguments. I was gonna say it's all based on logic, right? And so even though he's like, well, I still love her, his logic should override that. So I don't understand. You love her, then why not resolve all of this? Like,
why not save everybody so that other people could then help you save her?
Yeah, it just seems
that's
selfish.
what his brain would have done.
Yeah, it seems so selfish and against the grain of what the Vision has been. I mean, look at what happened with WandaVision. He was battling her because he knew it was wrong. What she was doing to the residents of whatever the stupid town was Sleepy Hollow. It was wrong, and he's like, "No, you can't be doing this. You're holding these people hot."
Yep.
And yet in this one, he's like, "I love her," and it's like, "Come on, man!" Like, it's just he made the Peter Quill. He made the Peter Quill decision from Infinity.
This episode had zero effort. Like, they couldn't even come up with a name for the episode. They didn't put any effort into this. Oh, let's just call it zombies and go. There's zero. Like I said, no originality, no creativity.
Wouldn't it be funny they called it "What If COVID"?
Can we finally say it? Can we finally say it? Can we say it for this episode? Because I think we can all agree. Bad writing. Is this the time?
Yeah, this one definitely bad writing. Bad concept. Yeah.
I don't. Well, I disagree with you. I don't think it's a bad concept. I think in the right hands, it can be done really well. I think there's a lot of continuity errors. I think not any story that goes off the rails could be good if you take the time to figure it out. If you do it poorly, then it could be bad. Like even Star Wars, if you put it in the bad hands, of course it'll be bad. But under the right mentorship and the right leadership, like whether it's Timothy Zahn or with certain people, like it's done right, it can be really good. I can imagine, Thrawn put under a bad writer and he could be just awful. Like I think it just depends on the person who's writing it. And to your point, I don't know if they ran out of writing budget. They're like, we'll just do this and then we're good. Like, here, unpaid intern, write this storyline. We're running out of time.
It's zombies. It writes itself. Don't worry, people love it.
Yeah.
Andre, I know you had tons of unanswered questions. Anything else?
So I would probably say my biggest, well, not the biggest one, but one that hasn't been mentioned is we see Wasp fly into Sharon Carter, and then explode, and kill Sharon Carter. So when did she get scratched and how? She shouldn't have turned. Like, again, stupid as
maybe it was the bones or something that she got cut. Maybe
who cares? Like, again, she's growing and expanding. You think a piece of a human is gonna do that? Like, you know what I mean? It's just awful. Like unjustifiable, just like awful. This was one of those things where we're just like, oh, I want a scene where zombie giant woman throws a zombie. So let's get there instead of saying, well, why and how does that make sense? Like, anyways, just like I said, this one, for all my praise of these other episodes, this one shows me that it's quite not the new Marvel yet that I was hoping for, right? And they can still do stuff that is just absolutely mind-numbingly thought absent garbage, and that's what this is. Like, even hearing Chadwick, like, I feel bad that he was in this. How the hell is Vision gonna cut through his suit to cut off his leg to feed his what's her name? Right, that's vibranium.
By Wanda. Yeah,
to feed Wanda, right? So again,
unless he tricked him to go there. This is why didn't Vision just help them by using the Mind Stone to like mow down the zombies to help them get out of there? It's like, oh, before I blow up, how about I just kill these zombies so you can get out of here without any problems?
Or how about this? How about I take Giant Woman off by her knees so that way she actually can't reach up and grab the jet.
Like, I love Wanda. It's like, I'll be with her forever. How I just because of that, I'll hold her here so the Hulk
Yeah.
doesn't have to turn into the Hulk and fight the zombies. I'm like,
Exactly. If
Yeah.
I'll just hold her and hug her and
Yeah.
go intangible so she can't get out. Nope. Let's not be creative at all. Right. Let's just, anyways, just,
Yeah. Okay. I would typically ask my question about, do you want more of this? I assume, John, the answer is ...
Not really. Even though we didn't get an ending, maybe give us
You just
another
said you
5
wanted an
minutes.
ending.
He's really focused on this ending.
You were just like,
No,
there's
no,
no
like-
ending. I'm
like,
like, do you want
they-
an ending? And you're like, no, I'm good.
Yeah, I don't. We'll assume that Thanos defeated them when they landed in Wakanda, and that he took the Infinity Stone and did God knows what with it. I don't know. Take over the entire universe with zombies. I don't know.
Maybe let's think that Thanos is the good guy, where he's like, I can use Infinity Stones to heal everyone from the zombies and turn everyone back to normal.
and then
that's it.
get rid of half of them.
Yeah, I think you're hard for them. Yeah. Good. That might be the good call. It's like, these humans have a scourge. I'll heal them. I'll get rid of half the universe. We're good to go. So Thanos is the good guy. Again, Rob, do you want more?
Well, I'll tell you, somewhere in the hallowed halls of DC, somebody was currently probably writing a script for Deceased animated movie, and I hope somebody tapped them on the shoulder and being like, maybe we should rethink this. Because as much as I like the Deceased books, I after seeing this, I'm not sure I want to see an animated Deceased movie. So
DC makes sense though.
no, I know, but you know what I'm saying? Like but this shows how something can kind of go a little bit off the rails. So I don't know. Do I want more of Marvel zombies? Nope, I'm good. Nope, I'm content. With what
Andre?
I've had.
Yeah, I would be happy if they just took this one off the air so people don't have to see how bad they've done. It's like, like if you could take away
9 episodes. No, we only did 8. What are you talking about?
Yeah, no. just
What if you miscounted?
Yeah.
No, but I think it has. I agree. We all aren't a huge fan of it, but I think it all has its merit. I think there are people that enjoy the zombie stuff that maybe that's not our shtick, but I think that it also is a nice indication that sometimes you need a bar to go over. And if this is the bar, then let's let it be now. The bar,
like
is
Rob
here.
said, they could have put thought and effort into it. They could have made this. It could have been good. It just wasn't. There's no redeeming moment. There's no animated fight. Like in every other episode, there's something cool that we have not seen before in the MCU. This has nothing. Like they didn't even give us a good fight of the Avengers landing on the bridge and doing something. Dude was just there, right? Like I said, we saw the Cape do some stuff, but what, the Cape stayed in the Sanctum Sanctorum for months and didn't help out anybody.
Yeah.
And magically, we didn't even talk about this. Hulk happens to get down there. Man, he must smell really good if Doctor Strange, Wong, and Iron Man came from wherever the shit they were, to get them, right? So again, it's what they gave us was horrible. Could they have done something totally different? Like, what if they flipped it? Let's not start in New York. What if they started in Wakanda and they said, oh crap, this thing's coming. Show it from Wakanda. Said, okay, we still have to help these people. What if Wakanda sent out teams and every like little cut was, hey, we can save the Winter Soldier. Hey, we saved War Machine. Okay, let's get them back to Wakanda. Now we're going to send out strike teams to help save pockets of humanity and come back, right? That would have been more entertaining. But what we got, it doesn't matter, because even the end point, like I said, Thanos being there makes even less sense because he's a zombie. Like, so what, he landed down anyways.
Okay. We're gonna the next question. John, do you want this to show up in the actual MCU? Do you want them to deal with this? Because theoretically they could bring back a zombie Chris Evans and not have him speak and just be like, and the zombie Robert Downey Jr. and the zombie, all the characters that have left the MCU, bring them back. That's the bad guys. That don't speak.
So we're hard on this because we're all of us are probably not huge fans of this genre. So it changes the genre. It changes Marvel MCU into a completely different genre that has to be that we would want explanations for. Maybe horror fans don't care about the explanation for why a zombie functions as a way
I
it does.
I think Rob.
Even though when you change how a zombie functions, people get pissed.
I think it's I think John, the answer is Mephisto. I think that's the answer to all of our
This
questions.
back to this guy again. This MacGuffin that's gonna solve all our problems. But yeah, I definitely don't think because it's gonna raise too many questions. So it should stay here. I don't know if they would do a live action TV show, but
Because in the
already have
multiverse
Walking
of
Dead on the
madness,
air
they could
a million.
throw the portal and then show the zombie Captain America and like whatever or there.
Hey,
and
if you ever read the
a floating
original
head of
Yeah.
Paul Rudd in the background.
Yeah, no, definitely don't. Yeah, even more unexplained questions with that. How does he function? How does he talk? Where are his vocal cords? You know, like how, like all kinds of.
Why does he
questions
have
come
5
when you-
o'clock shadow? Can't he?
Yeah. Like so many questions come when you have a head in a jar talking and interacting with people.
Yeah.
So
Was it liquid in the
just-
jar? I don't understand. Was he also in a liquid? I didn't.
I think
see-
Okoye seemed to point out that it was just an empty jar because he was
Yeah.
going to steam it up if he cried. But
Oh, weird.
it's like so they explain that it just I think it just opens up way too many questions and changes everything completely, and then we start kind of picking at it. So yeah, no, definitely would not want to see it.
Rob.
Oh no. No. I will say though, you had a decent idea. If you're doing the multiverse of madness and you're flashing through realities and you're falling through holes, and all of a sudden one of the holes are falling through, you see like a cameo glimpse of a zombie Cap or whatever. Like, oh, cool little Easter egg. That's it, and that's all you need, right? Like, I don't think we need anything else. You see a Nicholas Hammond Spider-Man, you see whatever, those old school Marvel stuff. I think it'd be kind of a cool little Easter egg, and that's it. I don't want this part of the MCU. I don't need it to be part of the MCU. I don't even want to talk about this anymore.
Andre.
Don't even acknowledge they made it. Like I said, sometimes you just need to put that deformed child in the attic and forget about it. So let's just.
Oh, we don't.
You don't talk about Hugo. You don't talk about Hugo.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. For those deep Simpson cuts. John, what do you rate this out of 10?
I gotta give it like. It does look visually. It does look nice. So if you want to see this aesthetic of, dark looking zombie characters, it's still. I don't know. I give it a 6 maybe.
Ooh, generous. Rob.
Yeah.
And just before I'm just going to say this, is that Andre said this right, John said this right, and I think Stu, you might have even touched on it, is that if they were to do this well, if you're going to go all in on zombies, you got to make it scary. You can't really make it fun. Reality is you can't make it for kids. You can't make zombies with their face falling off palatable for kids, right? So you need to go all in and make this scary as shit. I know one of our friends of the show, Scott, he thought it was really dark and stuff like that. I think if you're going to go, you got to go all in. I would have loved to have seen that. That's not what we got. And so for that reason, the only reason I'm giving it this score is because visually it looked amazing. I'm giving it a 4. Visually, it was great looking.
Andre?
Yeah, again, for what the designs and the little bit of the animation and the voices, it's getting a 2 out of 10. I'd love to give it 0. I honestly think this is meritless, right? But again, they had the voice actors, and 2 out of 10.
It is quite a divisive thing because, as you're saying, Rob, this is Disney. This is a tentpole. They're trying to balance out all the kids and whatnot, and I think that might be the reason why Scott Derrickson left the multiverse of madness. He's like, I want to do things really dark, and Kevin Feige's like, whoa, we gotta balance out the 8-year-old kids are gonna watch us at home and whatnot. So and he's like, yeah, I'm out. I need, because he's the horror guy, and he's like, you're not gonna give me horror opportunities. And when people say Doctor Strange was like the darkest horror type movie, I just sit there going, really?
Yeah.
All right. Okay. Cool. So we're really gonna test the boundaries because Sam Raimi is the horror guy, but he's not really the horror guy. He's the horror.
He's a light
guy.
horror, right? Yeah.
So we're gonna see what happens because Marvel. I think every genre they've done it light, except for, as Andre and I can talk about, Winter Soldier, which is probably the best and perfectly in a spy action genre that they nailed. Everything else, when they try to do a light science fiction or light this or that, it's been kind of a miss. You kind of left you wanting more. So, John, even though we talk about zombies being bad and all played out, do you have a book that you'd recommend for anyone to check it if they really like zombies?
Andres mentioned it, the DC's Deceased book. I think is a lot of fun and doesn't quite go as crazy as the Marvel Zombies books did. So I would definitely recommend you check that one out.
Rob, you could.
Well-
I'll let you go even for virus. I don't even like say you because I can tee you up. You don't even have to go zombies. You can go virus. You have a virus book that you want to recommend?
No. Why? It was something that I've always talked about. No, underwater
Yeah.
welder. That's not a virus.
It's not about virus. It's about welding.
No, John.
About
No.
welding.
I'm talking about Why the Last Man. You go for that one?
Oh no! I was actually gonna say World War Z,
yeah.
or World War Z. Because I was gonna say Deceased. I love the Deceased stuff. I know that you guys have it at the store, and I would recommend people actually pick it up because it's a much, for me, it was a much more fun take on that whole idea of zombies. Even though, but anyways, no, I would say World War Z. Like if people like it's written by Max Brooks, who is the son of Mel Brooks, and actually this guy is like one of these. He's a fellow at some for the U.S. government at one of their colleges or what think tanks, and he's actually one of these guys that they have to sit around a table and think of these bizarre situations that could come up, and what's the real world application to defeat certain things. And so he's a very, very smart individual. He speaks at a lot of universities and stuff, and it's a very good book. So I would definitely recommend World War Z or an audiobook, as you had
I stamped the audiobook and the book too. Yeah, I agree with you. It's an excellent read, excellent listen. And cannot talk about how great that. There's an extended version of the audiobook, which is even better. Andre, what do you have for us for recommendations?
Yeah, you got to read Deceased because not only is it Tom Taylor, who's just an amazing writer, he actually understands how to write multiple characters and do universe building. He also wrote all the Injustice comics. But the cool thing about Deceased, as opposed to Marvel Zombies, is there's an actual buyable, believable reason for it, and it's not just zombies. He's taken the anti-life equation, and you've probably heard that if you know anything about Dark Side and Warworld and stuff like that, and that's what kind of unleashes this. And it's exactly, guess what, if you're a zombie, you're undead. That's anti-life. I don't want to give you any more spoilers than that, but everything that they do in that series pertaining to the heroes and how those heroes turn, it makes sense. And it's not as arbitrary as, somebody just had gotten bit, so there's 4 books out there. They're all really, really good, especially the one where they deal with the villains. Like, again, the Marvel one we just watched, they didn't show any of the villains. They're still in this world. They would still probably help the heroes, but we didn't see any of them. But the DC series goes into all of that, so highly recommended. We've got all the volumes at the store. Even if you're not a DC fan, but you are a zombie fan, or you've loved Marvel Zombies and never got into DC stuff, definitely check it out. It's going to be pleasantly different and smarter, but also like it's going to give you that visceralness that the zombies have, and like that fear, like you fear for what's happening to these heroes and stuff. So yeah, definitely check out Deceased by Tom Taylor.
Is the Black Lantern Corps involved in the shenanigans?
In the not in no, but we do see what happens to some of the other cores.
Yeah. The Black Lantern Corps is also shenanigans of dead people, but we'll talk about that another day. All right, John, and Andre, where can we find you on the internets and in the desert of the real? Go for it.
Yeah, so Heroes World Online, Instagram, Facebook, posting things up there all the time. Latest products get in there, and it feeds you over to the website. So Heroes World Online, and then if you're listening on the audio, Heroes World podcast on iTunes, Spotify. Spotify's got a really nice new interface for your podcast. It helps you keep track of what you were listening to, what's coming up next, all that kind of stuff. So if you are listening on the audio, definitely give us a follow and a 5-star rating if you're on iTunes. It helps out a lot.
Subscribe and comment on as well on YouTube, and let us know your thoughts on zombies, your recommendations of what you would recommend us check out, and whether you like this episode or not, and your ratings. Andre, so
our store's open 8601 Warden Avenue. That's Warden Highway 7 in Markham, Ontario. So just north of Toronto. If you're coming past Steeles, a little bit past there, we are open 5 days a week from Tuesday to Saturday, getting new stuff in all the time. Something literally for everybody, from obviously comics to board games to action figures, statues, you name it. We've almost got it. You can give us a call. You can reach out via the socials as well if you have any questions and stuff, but also if you can take a moment to join some of those socials, like John said, our Facebook and our Instagram, we post up everything there, so there's lots of good content there. And if you are watching this on YouTube, join the conversations. A lot of our videos have a lot of great chats with fellow fans out there. Our most recent one on the Matrix has got some really great discussion, so people are actually talking and not arguing, and that's such a great thing to see on these chats and stuff online. So definitely check us out in all our forms, be it physical, in store, or online.
Yep. And if we keep on telling you to support local stores if possible, to go to the store, buy anything you can, big or small, if you have the opportunity. And if you're one of our listeners from one of the various regions that's not located in Canada, if you could support by just liking and sharing the content, that's really great. It just helps the profile, people to find the podcast, the YouTube channel and whatnot, just help people pop up, because those, surprise, even those that live in the GTA don't know of the existence of the store. So even though that you are living far away, you will help the exposure and Andre and John to just get the word out there. As Andre would say, the hero's word out there for people to know that this store exists. Rob, what do you got for us? What's going on in the Sidekick Show?
Oh, Stu, I'm so glad you asked. So after taking a week off for Labor Day, John and I are back tomorrow live at 8 p.m. Eastern on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch. We are doing the Heroes World Sidekick Show. We are doing a wrap up of the summer of 2021 and what we saw, what we read, what we experienced, and where we're going in this fall. There's a lot of big movies coming out, a lot of big news coming out about certain titles shifting up, down, some saying that they're going to be staying in place. So it's kind of like an Ask Us Anything. We're talking about things that you've watched and you recommend this past summer and what you're looking forward to this fall. And also, if you have watched this show, one of the questions I would love for you to answer for John or I, or ask us tomorrow night, we can talk about, is Eric Draven the Crow a zombie? Is he a zombie? Because he did die and came back to life the following year and went on a vengeance. So join us.
So he's not a zombie, right?
But do you have to eat? Is zombie
I think he's a
about
ghoul,
eating?
because the ghouls is bring back from the, and you're not.
Well, we're going to talk about it tomorrow night, I'm sure. Or we're not. One or the other. Or maybe we won't. I have no idea.
It's a ghoul. You also, if you look at, you could also follow the logic of a vampire in Brooklyn, because you got to be ghoul in order to become a vampire.
Yeah.
Slowly move your way up, as you learn from Eddie Murphy. You don't just become a vampire. You got to slowly move your way up the chain of command. That's the first, but last time we'll talk about Vampire in Brooklyn. So
yes, thank you very much. So definitely join us tomorrow, 8 p.m. Eastern, YouTube, Facebook, Twitch. I will say that a lot of the comments and the Discord between individuals seems to happen on the YouTube channel. So you can definitely join us and comment there. And we will see you then.
All right. Thank you all for joining us. We'll be back next week for the next What If. Hopefully it does not involve zombies. We'll see.
Yeah.
Anyways, thanks everyone for joining us. See you later. Goodbye.
Take care. Thank you.
See ya.